asking through 2 days of practice, what has stood out to you about your defense in the early sample size?
I think it was just the independent groups. Like, I think our defensive line has got a good understanding of kind of what we're trying to ask them to do right now. And, the volume of reps have been good. I've tried to been down there as much as I could, but I think with Odell and JP, I've seen some steps in the right way as far as the energy level that group's played with. I think that linebacker group is going to be just another year better right now with just seeing the emergence of, Amari getting comfortable in that role, Emmett, Steven, DJ Lundy, even Jaleel McRae, Kalen DeLoach, just the reps that they're getting it already feels like 1 year better. I think the virtual offseason stuff has really helped them. And then in the secondary, it's a bunch of pieces that we're putting together right now. We're trying to simplify it for these corners just so we can get that technique down really good. I think some of these newcomers have brought some good skill set to us. It's just making sure that we're playing the ball in the right way. So I think I've seen some growth as far as collectively with the group right now. It's got to continue.
Hey, Coach, just curious how that, you mentioned the secondary, and you've got 3 transfers, and these guys have a ton of experience coming in. What's it been like trying to get those guys acclimated to your system? Is it easier because they played a lot of college football, or is it you have to teach them a whole new system?
No, I think, Gene, anytime you've got college reps, there's some history to fall behind. We had a couple months here going through the offseason, and you've got a good sense of what they've done before because you studied them in order to bring them into the program. So, I would say it's not starting over when you bring guys in. Obviously, there's going to be some language barriers that have to get built through, but I think much more advanced than, say, an incoming freshman would in a typical setting.
You all signed a number of defensive linemen, but I think of the 3 that are already here, 2 are the transfers. How have you seen Jermaine and Kier with their experience come in and really help that unit?
Yeah, well, Jermaine's played a good amount of football. We've seen him more. Kier is kind of battling right now just to get himself healthy. He's, we're just working through some things with him. But they both, you named Jermaine and Kier, they're both professionals as far as just how they're going about their business day to day. I think thumbs up on both those guys right now.
Hey, Coach Fuller, I hope you're doing well. Staying on the defensive line, what have you seen so far from Robert Cooper this offseason?
I think Coop has made some strides. I think when Coop plays to his potential, one on first down, second down, third down, when you see that, he shows to be a very good player in ACC. When he becomes inconsistent with his technique or with his eyes and just some things, then obviously he's not playing as well. I think we've seen more consistency with him this offseason. I think he's taken, he wasn't proud of exactly how that thing played. He knows he's got to get better, but I see some ownership from him. He's always been an extremely strong point of attack player. That's been the benefits. We're trying to get him good at some of the other things too. Be consistent at what he's great at, which is holding the point. But Coop has athleticism to him, and he can move. And it's about doing those things consistently in order for him to be the impact player that we know he can be.
Coach Norvell mentioned Amari a couple times, including today, said he flashed a little bit at times. And he had mentioned, we talked to him the other day, but he obviously put on some weight. He said he's playing more Will and kind of learning the inside concepts. I guess maybe you can explain a little bit to that to me. Like Will to me seems like an outside guy, but he's talking about inside. So just if you can help educate me. And then how is he doing? How's he adjusting to that?
Yeah, good question. So in how we're playing, like there's certain times Will is an outside backer, but nowadays if they put a tight end and a running back in the box, you're going to have 2 linebackers in the box for sure. So now the Will becomes part of the box configuration, So is he an inside linebacker, outside linebacker? That's kind of however we want to play it, whichever way the safety rotates down. But when they just put one back in the backfield, now he's removed and he's covering down on, say, tight ends per se, which I think he'll be excellent at, And last year, we had a good role for him. As things started to change and we had some injuries, we had to move some pieces around. We played with a little bit more 5 DBs. It was hard to catch him up, to let him play to his potential. Now we've had the whole time to do it. Towards the end of the year, we made that move with him, but it was with practice and practice. We didn't want to put him in a bad situation. But I think just comfortability with reps, and he's somebody that if you tell him what the plan is, he's going to work diligently to make sure it's done correctly. So I think we're seeing that now. He's got a long ways to go, but we're going to ride with him. There's 100%. Love the way he plays. Love the way he shows up every day.
Hey, Coach, you guys showed a lot of nickel packages today with the 4-2-5 look. How does that versatility just help you? And I guess curious if you can compare it to maybe last year. How often did you guys go nickel? Is that something we could just see more of in 2021?
Yeah, we tried to do it, from Carolina game, and then it was based on availability at times. It wasn't always going to be the perfect fit with what you had. So I think, typically you want to be able to match some skills, and then it allows you to get a guy like Amari more matched up on tight ends and in blitz positions. And then it allows you to get 5. Anytime you can put that 5th DB on the field, it allows you to be a little bit more multiple coverage-wise, a little bit more flexibility in what you can do. You can be more aggressive in how you play because you feel like you can match up with people skill-wise. So I think it's definitely part of what we tried to do at the middle of last year, towards the end of the year, a little bit more when we had some guys back, but definitely something that I think is important in this conference.
Coach, I noticed yesterday on your mission takeaway that you had Travis J up there with a couple. And what's it like now that he's had a year there? He didn't play fully healthy last year. You have him healthy. He's out there. He knows the system. What kind of difference are you seeing out of him?
Yeah, it was tough with him. There weren't many weeks that he practiced. And sometimes his availability for games, and it was his first year playing. So it was like you trusted him because you knew he had playmaking ability to him, but he just hadn't done it yet, and he was failing in order to grow, and that's not the way you want to do it. You'd like to fail on the practice field, but Travis played 3 different positions last year. We'd really like to narrow that down and let him play safety and feel comfortable there, especially at free. So, we're doing that here through first 2 practices. I think if he finds consistency in what we're asking him to do, he finds consistency in the way he's doing it Monday through Sunday, then I know we're going to see results because he's super talented with his skill level, and it's just about finding that consistency level with him at positions in his day-to-day. Hello, Aslan. See, this thing took too long to get up and run. Aslan booked it. He's like, it's only practice 2. We'll get him later.
Any other questions?
Rookie mistake.
Hey,
Here.
he made it.
I'm gonna get better. I promise.
Yeah.
I was gonna blah blah blah. Mikko Dotson, a guy that I think we had a lot of high expectations for last year, but he wasn't able to get a lot of burn. What have you seen from him early on? Is he a guy that you guys still want to count and depend on?
Yeah, we saw Mikko playing about 2 games last year, and, we're still trying to make sure that we're doing it the right way so that we don't have any setbacks with him. So, he's up, moving around. We're trying to be careful with what we're asking him to do right now to make sure we get him back in the right way. But he's been a pro as far as how he's tried to do things. The maturity level that he brings to that DB room is important. But as we all know, when you're on the field, that level of impact even becomes more. So we're trying to trend in that direction right now. But we're being super careful, make sure we do it right so we don't have any setbacks with him.
I'm glad our AV guy came through there. Didn't want to end on that, so I raised my hand. Coach, the fifth DB spot, and I guess that's kind of the nickel, whatever. Is that, first of all, I guess again to educate, that's kind of the hybrid linebacker guy who's going to have to do some tackling at open space. And who is it? I heard Jamie Robinson. We talked to him earlier. He talked about maybe being one of those guys. Who are the guys that you're primarily looking at that position?
Yeah, right now it's Jamie and it's Kevin Knowles. And then, when it's base, then we got a chance to get a linebacker back out there as well. But right now, those are the two guys that are repping. Jarvis played there last year. Travis J played there last year. Mikko played there last year. And that was part of the, not great when I just ripped off 3 names when we had it. But, I think Jamie's definitely got some natural skill set there. He's done it before. Maybe we're asking him to do a little bit different things, but definitely an impactful position for us. We just got to keep developing that. And then Kevin showed really good things as a young freshman. And I don't know if Kevin's going to end up there at the end of the day, but it's our way to make sure that he's going to get an incredible amount of reps this spring by putting him in that position. And he's going to get a lot of fast football coming at him there in the slot. So I think it's really good for his overall development. We'll see how that thing looks here as we transition through the spring.
Akeem Dent, coach, looked like he put on, 10, 15 pounds according to the roster. Was that maybe play more at safety, cornerback? What do you feel Akeem accomplished this offseason, and how do you see him fitting into what your plans are?
Well, it was Akeem's, true offseason, I think, that happened. So, Josh Storms does a great job. We sit down with every player postseason and kind of put to bed what happened. And then what are we going to do, and what's it going to look like physically first, when we start spring football. So we all sat down with him, Coach Storms, myself, Coach Woodson, and the gains that he's made have been in the direction that we want it to go. And it happened to be some body weight, but just his overall body strength and his size, it was a true offseason for him. He didn't really get that last year. So I think it's a natural transformation of what his body's meant to be. And, obviously Josh does a great job in the weight room, and Akeem has benefited from it with his work ethic and what he's done this offseason.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Good seeing y'all.